You say every little nudge in the direction of Source here in this world brings greater enlightenment. What are these nudges? Every little effort you make, every little meditation that results in the sense of God's within me?
Yes.
Can you go out and do 10 more nudges every day than you did the day before to bring you closer?
Sometimes. But you have to remember we're in bodies that have very strong personalities, usually. And it's not always easy to get the human attention quieted down. So while you're in a human life, you can read books. Those would be nudges. Meditate, talk with other people. You can devote some of your time, your human time, to enlightenment. But I don't know if it's possible to spend huge amounts of time. I mean, what I'm getting at is I've read about the little guru sitting at the top of the mountain who's always, and I've heard near-death experiencers say that they're in spirit X amount of time. They must be much, much better at it than I am, because I can't do that. But I honestly don't believe you're supposed to do that. I mean, you do want to be enlightened, and you do want to continue your evolution, and working in that direction is much better than the opposite direction, just living an animal life. But we're here to live an animal life, and I don't see anything wrong with not being enlightened, so to speak.
I don't think I've ever heard it expressed quite so directly as that before, that we are here specifically to live this animal life and take full advantage of it. A lot of it's fun.
It's supposed to be fun. That's the kick. It's supposed to be fun.
And then I like what you said about, it's nice to think nice thoughts, but we have this strong personality innate in each of us. Some would call that an ego. And ego can really work to our detriment much of the time, though, can't it?
Well, so can being spiritual. Here's an example.
Okay.
Sorry. And I think this is in my first book. Souls, the spiritual side of us, we're used to living without a body. And so we like the feeling of weightlessness. So if you leave it up to soul, it might just jump the body off a cliff. Hey, I like this. It feels like home. It's like the guy who jumps off the top of a high building and all the way down says, so far so good. So far so good. You do reach the bottom. So my understanding of human personality and soul personality is there are what humans would call good and bad aspects to each. Ego is I have a degree in psychology. That's a psychological term to me. I find no place for it in my understanding of life now. I don't know what it means when people use it.
Yeah, you're a head person. We live from our head much of the time, as all head cases do. And I once heard a man say, the shortest route is the biggest of all to make, and that's from your head to your heart, to live from your center of feeling. How much stock do you put in that?
And
everything we're talking about, becoming closer to our soul awareness, our light body awareness, our connection to Source. Can we analyze it to death and get there, or should we forget about using our mind and go to the heart route? Feeling.
Well, the heart doesn't mean anything to me either, because that's a human perspective.
How about feelings? Feeling of love, feeling of joy, feeling of peace.
Yes. Every step in that direction is a good step.
An illiterate can have that.
Absolutely. There's no thinking involved. Can you overanalyze? Can you overthink who you are? And no, I don't think so.
Really?
Because I think every creative thought, for lack of a better word, every new idea, every new direction opens you up. It opens you up to receiving more from universal knowledge. It opens you up as a person. It opens you up to understanding others. So do I think that living a purely emotional life is the answer? No. Do I think living a purely intellectual life is the answer? No. Both beings, human and soul, have emotions and intellect, and I think rounding out. See, that's what we do that's our purpose in coming to Earth and every other planet where we incorporate. We're getting 360 degrees experience on every single thing of which Source can conceive. The reason why Source is omniscient is because it has 360 degrees of understanding of everything. Where that experiential 360-degree knowledge comes from is us.
I'm going to just guess that through the last half dozen years, you've encountered people who may have walked away slightly jealous of the fact that you've been receiving this downloaded information, and many of us, most of us, aren't aware of it. How many times have you had this instantaneous downloading of information from source? And can you do this now at will if you say to your soul self, okay, I think I understand all that I've been given, I'm ready for another volume?
No, I wish I could.
How many times have you received this?
Well, I don't know what you're calling receiving downloads. I mean, I get, like, the material that's in my books is from memory. I mean, I'm reliving my near-death experience.
From the initial download, and it may have
from
been
what
only
I got
one
when I was
download.
there. It's remembering what I got then.
Okay.
But I also get, I guess, what I call downloads. I get information about people. It's like, you know how psychics get information about people. I get information about people. I get information about things. I get information for myself. I mean, I get bits and pieces of knowings from universal knowledge. Can I do it at will? No. Sometimes.
Discernment, I would guess, is a big part of accepting as credible your recent revelation of information that may have been initially downloaded, or maybe it's our mind working over time and we're inspired as we are standing in a shower or taking a walk sometime. Do you wonder at all whether this is part of the downloaded information, or maybe it's part of being tired or being high from too much caffeine or whatever else might cause you to have some of this perceived understanding of what you're being given?
I can generally tell when it's something that I have thought of, constructed myself from my memories, from my human experience, or when it's, I call it from the light guys, because I have 5 beings of light, and I call them the light guys. And it doesn't actually come from them, it comes from the universal knowledge that we all can access. But I can usually tell the quality of the information is different, the nature of it is different, and what I'm supposed to do with it is different.
Okay. You say, according to source, all experiences are valuable in life, regardless of content. Then how can we try to explain to ourselves about those who suffer, those who lose a child, those who are born with depression or mental illness and don't seem to be able to climb out of that abyss?
Well, that's kind of the whole point of unconditional love. It takes unconditional love to love a life like that. To choose a life where you know you're going to lose a child and love that human and love that child and love that situation enough to come and experience it. No judging. Unconditional means no judging. What we would call a life of suffering, a light being would call an interesting life. No judging.
It's just what they ordered up before they came here.
Yes. And you have to remember, see, when you're in a body, you may be spending like 83 years living through the trials and tribulations of human life. When you're out of a body, there's no time. It's the eternal now. So it's 1 second. 83 years of Nanci's life is 1 second to Nanci the light being, or to me the light being. And to know what it feels like to be murdered, or to be abused, or to lose a child, or any of the things that humans go through, to know experientially what that's like for 1 second is worth it.
So we come in for the soul experience to learn these lessons that we set out to learn ahead of time?
They're not lessons, they're experiences.
Experiences. Do you know what your experiences are to be learned?
Well, so you're going to lessons again. My understanding is that we are not here to learn lessons.
Okay.
We are here to have experiences. We know everything. I mean, once you're out of a body, you know everything. What's there to learn? There are no lessons to learn.
Again. What's the purpose of incarnating then in the first place?
To gather experiences for Source. For Source to know experientially what it already knows intellectually.
Okay.